Good morning. I remembered to light the candles in the front this morning. I always light the big one in the back first, and usually about 10 minutes before I start, 8 or 10 minutes. And the last 2 days in a row, I forgot to light the ones in the front and didn't realize it till I was finished doing the video. And of course, I wasn't going to go back and do it over just to have those candles burning. Anyway, the title for today is Government Locomotive on Wrong Track. Once again, many thoughts ran through my mind during my quiet time between waking up and getting up. From parenting to governance, I was facing the human dilemma of entering the world from a place of innocence and having to deal with issues of control from the very beginning. There was always someone else that wanted to control us. Parents were often just as innocent as we were, only passing on what they themselves had learned. You've probably heard the expression, ignorance of the law is no excuse. The way it works in the real world is that certain individuals who want to control others create laws and claim authority to enforce them, by force if necessary. This is called government, also known as mind control. It's like a locomotive, insane motivation, on the wrong track. It promotes social engineers with psychopathic characteristics. Our challenge, once we recognize our enigma, is how to remove that track so that we can experience the freedom of the open road. To do this, we each must become our own lawyer, becoming responsible for taking back our own power. Actually, I owe this whole blurb and topic to a new friend that I've only become acquainted with in the past week, who actually in his early life was a locomotive engineer. He operated trains. And then he became a truck driver for a time before he began to practice law. And he's retired now, but as he began his practice of law, he said something is wrong. There's a disempowerment going on here, and it's not the way it's supposed to be. As he studied the law and as he learned the intricacies of the codes and acts and so-called laws, but they were really ordinances and not actual law. They were just things that were put in place to keep people mind controlled. The whole system was set up as a mind control operation to enslave humanity for the purpose of gaining wealth into the hands and concentrating wealth into the hands of a few people who wanted to rule the world. A psychopathic, insane motivation. That's the locomotive. Loco means crazy, and the motive is, what was their motive? Well, they wanted to create themselves as the ruler so that they could control all the variables and create a world where everyone would serve them, whether they wanted to or not. No freedom in this, no accountability even. They created laws that supposedly let them off the hook, except even in their laws. I'm talking about the psychopaths and the governments and the banks and the bar association and all of the other criminal aspects of our current human culture. They actually had to put in there, as I said in the last video, the remedy. They had to actually put the real law in there, which ultimately we have to use if we're going to become our own lawyer. We have to find those remedies and apply them from a place of power, from a position of power, and say, You're under a corporation. You've agreed to play in that corporation by these rules that you set up. And you hold other people to these rules to the best of your ability, even when they're innocent, even when they're ignorant of the law, you hold them accountable to it. And you've shirked your own responsibility to be a good parent and to empower your children so that they could live productive and creative lives, so that they could find happiness. You took advantage of their innocence, of their ignorance, and enslaved them. I'm talking now to those that want to rule the world, the cabal, the Pope, all of the corporate dead agencies. But it's a corporate system, and there are corporate rules that even those that run the corporations, even though they've tried to shirk their responsibility and accountability, the laws are there. It's time that we enforce the laws on them. Now, I said that parenting was one of the things that caught my attention in my thoughts. And this chapter on a father's role in the, again, in the Space of Love, Book 3, from the Anastasia series, or the Ringing Cedars of Russia series, Anastasia's responding to Vladimir, who asked, have you been giving them this kind of training for a long time? Talking about the animals. Did your grandfather and great-grandfather help you? And she said, what need is there for more training, or for training? Everything was done ages ago by the Creator. And Vladimir says, but how could he have foreseen everything in advance to be able to teach each creature what to do in any given instance? Back there in the glade, as I was watching, our son was looking at the squirrels, and one in particular caught his fancy. He held out his little hand to it, smiled, and uttered a drawn-out "eh" sound. And the squirrel dashed right over to him, that same squirrel that had caught his eye. The little one then played with it, took it by its paw, and stroked its tail. Now, how could the Creator have foreseen this particular situation and taught the squirrel what to do? Anastasia says, the Creator is wise. He made everything more simple and to perfection. How? Vladimir asked. From a man who is free from aggression, selfishness, fear, and many other dark feelings which came along later, emanates the light of love. Even though it is invisible to the eye, it is stronger than the light of the sun. Its energy is life-giving. The way the Creator arranged things, only man is endowed with such a tremendous ability. Only man. He alone is capable of bringing warmth to all living creatures. That is why all living creatures are drawn to him. As Vladimir, our little son, was paying attention to the squirrels, he fixed his gaze on one of them in particular, concentrated his attention on it, and his warmth went out to that little squirrel. In this warmth, the creature felt a sense of grace and rushed toward the source and was delighted to play with him. Our son can summon any animal that way. I want to interject the next paragraph from where I just left off reading. Thanks to the Creator, all newborns have such an ability when they are still in the space of love and nothing has yet erased this magnificent element within them. The space of love begins with the mother's womb, and then only spreads apace. Only man is endowed with the power to wreck or perfect this space. I'm not going to read the next paragraph. I'm just going to let that go because I wanted to end with that. That needed to be in this video. So again, we continue. Yeah. And there's an animal in each one of us. And we need to focus our attention lovingly on that animal. But as my lawyer friend, my retired lawyer friend, who is helping me pro bono, not doing it for me, but reminding me of what I already know, and reminding me that I have all the answers through the internet at my fingertips to be able to proceed to gain back my freedom and to take back that which had been stolen from me, that which I even forfeited through my own ignorance. As he's been working with me, he said he had to get in touch with the psychopath in him to meet the psychopath in the world. Interesting concept. It's not that he's playing the role of the psychopath, but he's using the same energy that the psychopaths use to exert control over others to bring them back into accountability. So that they, whether they like it or not, see what they've agreed to in coming to this planet. There are rules. There are natural laws. The Creator set them in place from the beginning. And even the psychopaths, though they try to avoid and ignore and play all of the religious games that religious people with better hearts, with better intentions, not quite so insane, not so, quite so locomotives, but more pure motives. They really want happiness. They really want to love. Psychopaths don't. They've had that knocked out of them. They've had their conscience seared. And so they don't get that. And they play the denial role too, but they play it at with higher stakes involved because they want all the marbles. They're not satisfied to share. They want everything for themselves. And how do you handle a psychopath that is distorted and on the wrong track and leading the whole earth to destruction? How do you deal with that? It's not easy. It's a huge challenge. It's a fantastic paradox, the enigma that we have to face, where those that are supposed to be the dispensers of justice are the most themselves unlawful and unjust. How do you deal with the judges and the police that have been trained by these psychopathic individuals that want to rule the world, and these psychopathic bankers that believe they own the world, and the psychopathic Pope who set up a church of all things that's supposed to be a place of enlightenment to actually enslave humanity by telling humanity, we own you. We own your soul. We own everything. You own nothing. We own it all. It's all ours. It's not yours. And we can take it anytime we want. This is the psychopathic world that we live in. And avoiding it and denying it is just the game that the psychopaths have tried to play all along. So when you're playing into spirituality 101, as some call it, as Teal Scott, as she says, if we're just playing around in this 101 spirituality, we're playing a psychopathic game of avoidance and denial. That's a psychopathic game of not taking responsibility for the things we don't like. We call it an illusion. We use all sorts of the people that want to stay in control, their diversionary tactics to get us to look away from what's wrong and not focus attention on it so that we can come and play with it. And it becomes a game when you start seeing that you can focus your attention lovingly. But in truth, lovingly is not absent of, it's absence of malice. That's what innocence really is, absence of malice. It's not with malice that you're going after these people. They just simply don't get it, and you're helping them to see their own rules. And you're threatening them with their own rules, saying, I know what game you're playing. You're not kidding me. Here it is, right here in your rule book. Your rule book. What are you going to do with it? Here's your rules. What are you going to do with it? So we've got to get the government locomotive, back on take it off the track. The track that it's been on is Agenda 21. The track that it's been on is a new world order of totalitarian control, where every aspect of our lives is controlled. Is that the kind of track you want to run on? Or do you want to experience the freedom of the open road? It's up to you. It's up to me. We have to take back our power. We have to understand the law that is at work here, and it's a natural law. Do no harm. And to whom much is given, much is required. These that claim authority have more responsibility than those who are still ignorant and in innocence, not recognizing who they are, not recognizing the roles that are being played, the archetypes that are being manifested in our world. It's time for us to stop being just children and to become adults. And we do that by empowering ourselves and enriching ourselves with truth, not with money, with truth. And the truth, ultimately, is what will set us free. And the truth always operates in love. And love always operates in truth. Even tough love operates with truth. Thank you for listening. Namaste.